Hello, I'm Amy McEntee, a project manager with RCL Benziger, and I'm going to share with you ways to use your Be My Disciples Catechist Guide for online learning. Before you start your planning, there's a couple of things that you'll want to keep in mind. First of all, you'll want to be aware of the platform that you're using for your online sessions and the features that it has available to you. Most video conferencing services offer the ability to chat, share your screen, conduct polls, and split into smaller groups. You'll want to consider which features are available to you and your comfort level with using those features as you look over the chapter. Next, you'll want to think about the time that is allotted for your catechetical session. You may be used to having 45 minutes to an hour for each catechetical session, but online learning is a little bit different. Ideally, you should be planning for approximately 30 minutes. You might get a little bit more or a little less time, depending on the age of your learners. You will also want to think of that time in 5 to 7 minute chunks. You will want to keep your lecturing to a minimum. So when you're going over the heart of the teaching, that should be approximately 7, maybe 10 minutes. And you'll want to break that up with a poll question or something for children to respond to in the chat, just to make sure they're still with you and engaged. The time is going to pass quickly, so you'll want to be well prepared. The Be My Disciples lesson planner that is available on Flourish is a helpful tool for planning and organizing your lesson. You will also want to think about which parts of the chapter children can do either independently or with their families outside of your gathered catechetical session. Remember, each chapter of Be My Disciples is built around the movements of explore, discover, and decide. You'll want to be sure that your sessions move the children through this process, even if they're completing some parts of it independently. Let's take a look at the Catechist edition. Before you begin, you'll want to be familiar with the content of the chapter. Reviewing the Catechist background page and the reflection questions will help you to be prepared to identify the focus of the chapter and the key concepts that children need to learn. Next, take a look at the lesson planner page. Although the times will need to be adjusted, this page will give you the focus for the chapter as well as an overview of the process, the content of the lesson. Now you have to keep in mind some of these activities may need to be adjusted for online learning. And when it talks about things like share with a partner, you're going to have to look at what that will look like using your online platform. But this gives you a sense of where you're going. You'll also be aware of where you may need to condense or expand activities or move them to be that independent learning. Next, look at the wrap that is available for each page of the chapter. I like to use these little flags and I like to number them so that I know when I am condensing parts of a lesson. Obviously, you want to start your session with prayer. In this case, it's a very brief prayer. And then jump to the reflection question that serves as an introduction to the lesson. In this Explore section, I would assign this activity for children to do in advance. And so rather than having them read it together as a group, I would ask them to summarize what they remember from this story. They might do that in the chat feature or calling on a few students to share what they remember or to volunteer their impressions. As you move into the heart of the teaching, you're going to want to think of what are the key pieces of this lesson. You may summarize these, offer a video, or depending on the age of your learners, have them provide a video that they create before the session is gathered. I would skip anything that says for them to silently read and rather tell in my own words what the content is of this page. You might use the polling feature for a question to make sure they're still following along. As you get to activities, you'll want to consider, can these be done online or do you need to put in a different activity? You also might think about, are they going to show you their work in their student book by holding it up to the camera? They might take a picture of it and email it to you, or they might submit it in a different way. But you'll want to look at this as you move through your lesson planning. At the end of the chapter, we get to the reinforce. This should be the last thing that you share with your students. This is the key idea. And then you would ask them to make their faith decision and close in prayer. The prayer is here, and you may ask them to either assign parts or to read it as a group, or to have one person represent the group while everyone else is muted. The chapter reviews, you can use the online chapter reviews or set up a quiz game for them to practice. And then you would want to tell them what to expect for the next gathering as they move forward. Online learning is a little bit different from being in a physical classroom, but it can be just as fun and formational. The Be My Disciples Catechist Guide provides you with the content and structure you need to be successful in online learning with just a few adjustments. Take some time to check in with your learners and ask them what they enjoyed. You might find that one activity works better depending on the learners and how they are used to learning. As you gain confidence, you might want to try something new. Thank you for all that you're doing for the faith formation of God's people, and know that I'm praying for you as you plan for online learning. God bless.